Have you ever felt overwhelmed by a flood of requests because you just can't bear to disappoint anyone? You're far from alone. So many of us have been caught in the cycle of saying yes, even when it drains us, simply because we're conditioned to put others first. But imagine if you could unlock the power of no without a trace of guilt, protecting both your peace and your relationships. Today, we're diving into a game-changing mindset shift. What if you could confidently decline requests, not as a rejection of others, but as a bold affirmation of your own needs? In this episode, we're going to explore the art of saying no in a way that's compassionate, assertive, and empowering. Prepare to reclaim your time, your energy, and most importantly, your well-being. Let's begin by understanding why saying no is so challenging for many of us. From a young age, many of us are taught to please others, to be accommodating, and to avoid conflict at all costs. This mindset often makes us feel guilty when we put our own needs first. But here's the truth. Every time we say yes to something that doesn't serve us, we're saying no to our own self-care, our goals, and our personal growth. And that ultimately isn't fair to you. So, how do we break this cycle? The first step is understanding that saying no isn't about rejecting someone. It's about affirming your own needs. Think of it as creating space in your life for the things that truly matter. When you say no, you're not shutting someone out. You're simply preserving your energy and time for commitments that align with your values. One key technique is to prepare your responses in advance. When you're caught off guard by a request, it's easy to default to a yes just to avoid confrontation. Instead, try preparing phrases that honor both your needs and the other person's feelings. For example, you might say, "I really appreciate you thinking of me, but I'm not able to take that on right now." This kind of response is polite, yet firm. It conveys gratitude and respect while setting clear boundaries. Another strategy is to use the power of the pause. When someone makes a request, give yourself permission to take a moment before responding. This short pause can make a world of difference. It allows you to assess your schedule, your priorities, and whether the request truly aligns with your current commitments. A simple, "Let me think about that and get back to you," can provide the breathing room you need to make a decision without pressure. Let's also talk about the importance of self-compassion. Many of us feel guilty because we're hard on ourselves, believing that we should always be available and helpful. But remember, self-care is not selfish. It's necessary. Imagine your energy as a bank account. Every yes you give draws from your balance, and if you don't deposit enough care and attention into your own account, you'll run out. When you learn to say no, you're simply making a deposit in your own well-being. Now let's address one of the most common excuses: "I don't want to disappoint people." It's true that saying no can sometimes lead to initial disappointment, but think about the long-term benefits. Overcommitting often leads to stress, burnout, and even resentment, both from yourself and others. When you set clear boundaries, you invite more genuine interactions based on mutual respect. It's about quality over quantity in your relationships. One practical tip is to reframe your mindset around boundaries. Instead of thinking of boundaries as walls that keep people out, see them as bridges that lead to healthier, more honest relationships. When you say no, you're giving yourself permission to say yes to what truly enriches your life. And often, people will understand and appreciate your honesty once they see you're taking care of yourself. Another helpful method is to consider alternatives if you're not comfortable with a flat-out no. For instance, if a colleague asks for help on a project but you're swamped, you might say, "I can't commit to the full project right now, but I'd be happy to help with a specific part if that works for you." This approach provides a compromise that respects both your limits and the other person's needs. It's also vital to understand that it's okay to change your mind. Sometimes you might agree to something thinking you can manage it, only to find that it's more than you can handle. In these cases, it's perfectly acceptable to reassess and communicate your boundaries honestly. While it might feel uncomfortable, most people will respect your decision when you explain that your circumstances have changed. Let's take a moment to imagine a real-life scenario. Picture a friend asking you to join a weekend trip when you already planned a much-needed quiet weekend to recharge. Instead of forcing yourself into an experience that will leave you exhausted, you can say, "I'm honored you invited me, but I've already committed to some personal downtime. I hope you have an amazing trip, and let's plan something together soon." This way, you're honest about your needs, while also expressing your affection and interest in future plans. Remember, the goal here isn't to build walls, but rather to create a healthy balance between giving to others and caring for yourself. Every time you practice saying no, you're reinforcing your right to choose what's best for you. It's a skill that improves with time and confidence. Before we wrap up, I want to emphasize that saying no isn't a one-size-fits-all solution. It's about finding what works for you. Some days you might need to be more assertive. Other days, you might choose to be more flexible. The important part is that you're conscious of your own limits and respectful of them. And over time, you'll notice that your relationships start to reflect that respect in return. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the art of saying no without feeling guilty. I hope these insights inspire you to prioritize your own well-being and to embrace the power of a well-timed no. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more content on personal growth, and share your own experiences with saying no in the comments below. Remember, every no is a step towards a more balanced, fulfilling life. Until next time, take care of yourself and keep setting those healthy boundaries.